at that moment right there, dry socks was like the most greatest thing at that moment that could happen.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I spent the day out here at the National Corvette Museum. It's about a $15 tour, $15 price to get in, just kind of walk around and look at the different Corvettes, and it's pretty cool. There's a bonus today, and that is the fact that the National Traveling 9/11 Memorial is here out in the parking lot. There's some FDNY guys out here. I'm going to walk over there and walk through that. Well, friends, this video is a little bit, or a lot bit longer than most of my videos. However, based on the content of the discussion that we had inside the memorial, I just couldn't bring myself to cut out anything that the lieutenant told me. Also, fair warning, there is a little bit of adult language in this video, but based on the situation and just the discussion, I think it fits. But just be warned, there is some adult language. So, what was your role? Were you nearby?
I got there after the second collapse. New York City is a big city.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I was I was assigned to the Bronx, and so when the first plane hits, not everybody goes. You still have to protect the city. You still got car accidents. Still got structure fires. Yep. Second plane hits, still got structure fires.
It's a mass casualty. You send everybody you can, but you still got other.
The first one came down. That was it. All bets were off. Everybody goes. All the areas that we covered were taken over by surrounding counties, set their units in there so that they can cover that. I always say, I guess I was fortunate enough, because who knows if I'd be standing here today.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the story about Jay Jonas and 13 firefighters, civilians.
Were those the ones that were in the stairwell that they got out later?
Yeah, funny thing is, here they are coming down the stairwell, and they were helping this woman. Her name was Josephine, and so she was elderly, a little bit disabled, and so they had to stop a couple of times to rest, and they get to about the 6th, 7th landing, 7th floor. She was out of rest. Jay Jones goes, Josephine, come on, we gotta get out of here. All right. South Tower's already collapsed.
Right.
Okay. All of a sudden, they hear this sound. Captain Jay Jones knows this is the same fucking sound we heard when the South came down. This one's coming down. They all hunker down like this on the stairs, up against walls, make their peace.
Yeah.
And wait for the inevitable, right? 10, 15, 20 minutes later, when everything cleared and they're still alive, right? Now they got to try to find their way out. Well, everybody that was above them in that stairwell perished. Everybody below them that was in the stairwell perished. For whatever reason, this one little area was clear.
Yeah.
So, and the only one who can answer that is that guy above.
Mm-hmm.
Why that area? So, in essence, this woman, Josephine, saved their lives.
Yeah. Well, everything happens for a reason.
She passed away a few years ago. They all attended a funeral.
That's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. Stories like that is what you don't hear that.
No, I've heard of them. I've watched videos, but it's really different than unless you've been there, you don't realize the scale of everything.
Captain Terry Hatton, captain of Rescue 1. Now, rescues are the elite of the elite.
Right.
When we're trapped, who do we want? We want rescue here to get us out, right? His wife, Beth Patron, was Giuliani's aide.
Okay.
All right? So, this is what she said. That she knew he would have been on the highest floors because he's in Rescue 1, and that's what they do. And when the building came down, she grabbed the dust off the ground and said, this is, he's probably in here somewhere. But what people don't know is that when you go into these incidents, you go to the command post and get your assignment. So we went to the command post, and obviously you go to a command post, you see all your buddies there from other companies. He saw a friend of his, and he went over to him, kissed him on the cheek, and he says, well, brother, this is probably the last time we're ever going to see each other. And went up.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys kind of knew that they weren't coming back.
So how do you deal with having been there? It's 20 years later, but it's still I think of it, I still think of it, it's still, yeah, great.
I'm telling you.
No, I hear you, I understand. That's probably not the healthiest choice, my friend, but you know. Or bourbon.
Or bourbon, yeah, bourbons. I got into bourbons and single malts. And you know, this is like therapy in a way. When I first time I did this, I was a little apprehensive because it drums up a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I was on a pile for about 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks, and then I was taken off and put into a unit that did funerals for the next 6 months.
That had to be rough. I couldn't imagine.
I say it this way, it's the shittiest duty I ever had, and the most, and the best duty I ever had. Because if you knew my personality, I do the best I can in whatever I do. So I did the best I could to give these guys the proper funeral that they deserve that I knew I couldn't give them. One day we had 26 funerals in one day. It's impossible. A fireman's funeral is between 3,000 and 5,000 guys.
Yeah.
If we were getting 200 or 300, it's a lot. Because you got to remember, all these funerals, the guys on the pile digging, the guys on duty. You know, there's not many left. And I always say this because I lived it, I saw it. If it wasn't for the volunteer firefighters, if it wasn't for the out-of-state firefighters, if it wasn't for the international firefighters, we would have looked like shit. I used to get volunteer firefighters would follow me around because they knew I was going. This funeral was over. I was going to another one. Had the morning one, had an afternoon one, had a late afternoon, and they would just follow us, which was great. Los Angeles used to send a contingent every week. They'd stay for a week, go to all funerals, go back. Another set of guys used to come. Stay a whole week, go back. Another set of guys used to come. So that's how we got through it. Because to be honest with you, when that widow comes out, or that the mother of the deceased comes out, they see, all they're going to see is blue uniforms. They're not going to look at the patch here. All they're going to see is blue, and that's what you need to give them. Normally at a fire department funeral, you got 5 rows, 6 rows. Now, couldn't do that. I used to come out just before I knew they were going to come out of the church. Well, number one, after about the first week, I didn't go to church anymore. I couldn't deal with the eulogies from the kids and shit like that. I just couldn't deal with that. I would come out and I'd have the guys line up, and I'd say, 2 rows, guys. That's it. 2 rows. Stretch it as far as you can. Okay? The caisson's going to be going this way. Start here and send it down as far as you can go. 2 rows. And that's what we did. This way the wife, as she's going and stuff, she sees this row of blue. They got cheated because that's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to have 3,000, 5,000 flying a day. That's a funeral. That's a fireman's funeral.
Those numbers, it's impossible.
With having 30, 40 bagpipers, not 1 or 2. You just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. We did the best we can, and people were the best. Here, I'll tell you for example. Now, they call it the ceremonial unit. They only had 2 sets of flags. You know, fire department flag, city flag, state flag, and one other one. They only had 2 sets. Doing 6, 7 funerals a day. What are we going to do with 2 sets of flags? Guys were fighting over them. You know those numbers they put on the fire truck?
Yeah.
We had 2 sets of that. Guys weren't even turning them in anymore. So I was doing a funeral, and I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to write it up? Cardboard or something? So I said, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I went to a printing shop buying it. Right? And I told the guy, listen, this is what I need. And he goes, I was in uniform. He goes, what do you need this for? I said, well, I'm doing all the firefighter funerals, and I need these magnetic numbers to put on the fire truck. What do you need? So I told him the numbers. No. He goes, what do you need? How many sets? I said, well, give me 3 sets of numbers. I'm going to pay this out of my pocket. I got it. Made him 3 sets of magnetic numbers. You know, because if you get a company that's 332 or something like that, we need at least 2 sets. I said, no problem, I got this. I don't want no money from it. He said, that's the least that I do. And it was that all over.
Kind of missed that nowadays.
Oh, really? Oh, absolutely. This country, I wish it was like that, you know. Another quick story. I don't want to bore you.
You're not at all.
So, I go down to the trade center. My last phone call to my wife was, I'm on my way down to the trade center. It's the last thing she heard from me for about 60 to 72 hours. Doesn't even know if I'm alive. So we finally get relieved, and they load us on a bus, and they're going to take us to the staging area so that we can, you know, make our way home. Right? Going down West Side Highway is one of the main streets on the west side of Manhattan that leads into the trade center. So at this point here, the National Guard started to set up a perimeter with fencing and guards and stuff like that. We go through this whole West Side Highway on both sides, hundreds, thousands of people with flags, signs and stuff, handing us a bottle of water, here's a sandwich, you know. So we get stuck in this little traffic jam, and so I'm sitting by the window, and I look out, and there's a woman standing with a cardboard box. So I go, what do you got? She goes, socks. At that moment, I just realized I'd been in wet socks for about 50 hours. I was like, pull the bus over. She comes on the bus. At that moment right there, dry socks was like the most greatest thing at that moment that could happen. And I wish I would have got her name, because I hope she didn't think that what she did was so insignificant, because it wasn't. It was, everybody was like, oh my God,
it's this big, but it's huge.
Holy crap, absolutely huge. You know, like I said, I wish I would have got her name to thank her, because I hope she didn't think that, you know, what she did was so little, because it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was so great to have dry socks on.
It's awesome.
Really. You know, so things like that, this is the reason why we're here, tell people stories like that, because it's not something you're not going to see on the documentary on TV.
No.
Okay, you're not going to see that.
No, I'm 1,000 miles away, and all I can tell you is that was the most terrifying day. Even not even being anywhere near there.
Right.
It was absolutely terrifying. I couldn't imagine 1,000 times more.
I think everybody was just in a complete state of shock. I mean, here we are in a pile with freaking 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah.
And we're trying to clear 210-story buildings with 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah, and
it was just to keep our minds active.
Yeah, and John,
and not think about it.
Our guy from John got back. He was saying it was like digging through re-solidified concrete. It was just awful.
Oh,
because it had been hot, and then it reformed in a solid ground.
Well, what happens is when it rains now,
it turns back into concrete.
Yeah,
then you're pouring water on it. And,
it's terrible.
Yeah,
leaving that crap in. Another thing was,
yeah, she said they could smell it flying in the airplane. The smell there was just awful.
That's how we used to find the bodies.
That's
in the beginning, I never knew blood smelled. It does. Blood smells.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that. So we'd be walking down the street, you know, going to because you start to get assigned sectors and areas, and so you walk into this sector or area, and you walk, and all of a sudden you do this. All right, guys, look around, and you find something. That's very rarely found a full body, that's for sure.
Well, I mean,
you load it into a body bag and take it to the temporary.
They just identified 2 more people this summer.
Yeah, they identified. Yeah,
identified something.
Yeah,
you know,
because as the DNA gets better and better.
Yeah. I just 20 years later,
1,100 people were never ever found.
Yeah.
Nothing was found.
Pulverized.
1,100 people. You know what? Here, 210-story buildings. How many filing cabinets? How many computers? How many chairs? How many desks were in there?
Paper.
And when you down there, there wasn't a piece where you can go, oh, that was a chair. Oh, that was a desk. Oh, that was a computer. No. paper.
Oh, I remember
walking
that.
down a side street. Okay, it reminded me of when I was a kid running through leaves. The paper was up this high, and you would shuffle through paper.
The other thing
Crazy.
that I remember is the beepers. Were those motion beepers? Or?
Air salons.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things when I went into the museum at Ground Zero. There's a room there, the audio was playing of all these air salons because we got there and
Now, would those go off if you stop moving? Or
what happens is, yes, when it detects no movement and it goes off. And the reason for that is that when a firefighter, for whatever reason, maybe gets knocked out or something like that, and it's motionless, it goes off. And there was hundreds of them going on. And we all know what that sound is.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, 3 days later, all you heard was chirp, 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 chirp. It's the batteries running out. You know? Ladder truck 101.
Right.
They probably had that on the side of their ladder or side of their truck. This is part of 105. It's just pieces of stuff. This was found blocks away, a piece of steel. This is a ladder from, I believe, 111. This was from 111. 11 truck. Which they got completely crushed. 28 engine. That was a shirt one of the guys probably wore left in the fire. Just tubing and stuff, gas.
Harness, yeah.
So every time they found a firefighter's body or even a police officer, they cover with a flag, and they would basically, if it was the firemen, they would call their company to come
And they'd carry them
to
out.
recover them, right? And then all work would stop, and because at this point now they started to have a like a ramp.
Yeah, I remember
They
that.
would climb up, they would walk up the ramp with the body, put them in an ambulance for it to go to the ME's office.
So if you're standing on street level, how high? Because you can't tell that on TV. How big was the
Aisle?
Yeah, how big was it?
About 150, 200 feet
Tall.
tall.
Yeah.
The rubble at the end.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, you can't. There's no perspective on
no.
video. You can't tell that that's that big.
Yeah.
You know.
It was almost like the cone of a volcano.
Yeah.
You get to the top and you look down and it's like a hole, you know? I mean, and these are the things we look when we first went there to rescue. Looking at boys like this,
Yeah.
you know? Trying to see if we can find anybody. I was telling a story. We were trying to move, I'm a small guy. I was about 30 pounds lighter, so I was about 150 at the time. I was probably 40 pounds lighter. I was like 150 at the time. And I was with these three big guys. We were trying to move a piece of steel because there was a void there, and I was going to be able to fit into it if we moved this piece of steel. So we tried to move this piece of steel, four of us, couldn't budge it. And I said to myself, so if you place this gently on my chest, I'd be dead because I won't be able to breathe. I won't be able to expand my chest to breathe. And that's when I knew we're not finding anybody. And these things didn't come in until after it became a recovery operation. I don't know exactly when this was. This has got to probably be a couple of weeks. Because the first thing they wanted to do was clear, this is West Street, okay? Because that's a crossover bridge. And, so they wanted to clear this first so they can get everything in. I believe this over here is like the center median right here.
Okay.
All right? So they needed to clear this roadway this way to have a clear shot all the way around. Because before that, the only way you were able to get from the north side to the south side was by going through the American Express building that was across the street from the World Trade Center.
Was that one of the ones that was crushed too? Or
What's that?
Was
Well,
crushed?
that took a couple of hits from some girders, but no, it didn't get completely crushed. It was standing. I'm trying to see if they have a picture of it now. Have you seen the reflecting pool?
No, I have not.
So that's something if you ever go to the museum, that's really neat to see.
Yeah, that looks like it's got to be.
Yeah, it's the exact place where the footprints of the buildings are. It's surrounded by this bronze plating with everybody's name carved into it. So all the people on this one was in that tower. All the people that were in this tower crawled into that one.
I gotcha.
In the wintertime, they put warm water through it. Because this way your hand doesn't, you ever see like Christmas Story?
Yeah, you don't freeze. Really? So it's heated. So you don't freeze.
Right, so your hands won't freeze on it, and it'll melt the snow and the ice. And in the summertime, they put cool water through it so you don't burn your hand.
That's pretty cool.
And every one of these people, when it's their birthday, somebody puts a white rose in their name.
Right.
And
Is there a thing to put a flower on each name, or is there like a little?
I'm not sure, to be honest. All I know is they stick it in there. I guess you can. I'm not sure if there's a specific hole for it. It's a good question. I'll have to look at that.
I just wondered. I just thought because you know I was thinking of because I thought I'd seen that in video.
Yeah, no. So I always thought the family members did that. They actually have somebody. That's his job every day.
Keeps track of.
That's it. Pulls it up on his computer and goes around and does it on both towers.
That's pretty neat.
This is where the Pentagon is, the memorial. So now the significance of these benches is, depending which way, I think the Pentagon is over here. So this bench that way means this person was in the Pentagon. This bench facing that way means that person was in the airplane.
I got you. Direction of travel.
Right. Bench this way, here's the Pentagon. They were seated in the Pentagon. Bench that way, it was the plane that struck the Pentagon. Obviously, this is Stephen Silva. His family started this foundation.
Okay.
Off from the Stephen Silva to the tunnel to towers. Stephen Silva was a firefighter. That day, he was going to play golf with his brothers. Playing hits, calls his brothers up. We can't play golf today. Goes into a firehouse that was not his own. Takes somebody's gear. Takes some equipment. Runs through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, about 3 miles or so, to the World Trade Center, and is killed. So they started this foundation. His brother is the CEO, doesn't take any money to be that. His sister is the CFO, she doesn't take any money to do it. And the foundation, about 95 cents of every dollar goes to the foundation, only 5 cents operating costs. If you notice on there, it says 93%. It's wrong. The IRS, when they did the audit, they told them, hey, you guys got that wrong. What are you talking about? I said, no, it's not 93, it's 95. They were like, okay. So that was a good thing. So they always have the tunnel to towers run and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This is Squad 1. That's the squad he belonged to. Actually, the thing I'm wearing on my wrist right now, this gentleman was a lieutenant in Squad 1. He died in the Trade Center. He was in his work truck because he worked on the side. He parked his truck. He flagged down the fire truck, jumped on it, went to the towers, and he was killed. He was trying to meet up with his company, and he was killed. Took about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Somebody looked up the license plate on his truck to finally return the truck to his victim. This over here is all the ones who were killed on 9/11. All the firefighters. Everyone's 6.
Right, because it's catching up with everybody.
Everybody here has some sort of ailment. You see me coughing every so often. The WTC call.
Because I know there are
343 firefighters, 23 police officers, 37 court authorities, 3 court officers. Look at the police. These are the names of the ones who died that day. These are the ones who have died since.
With some
with some ailment. I think they're up between 17 and 20 cancers, is what they're saying we have a higher rate of. So now, the foundation, what they do is they build smart homes. Okay, watch this, look at this.
Yep.
All right? For the military. Mm-hmm. All right? They pay off mortgages for deceased police, fire, EMS, and so on. We were in Georgia, beginning of October, and while we were there was a Georgia police officer law enforcement, I should just say, because I don't know whether he was a sheriff or not. He responded to a domestic. Whatever happened, he was coming out of the precinct later on. The person who was at the domestic ambushes him and kills him. First day on the job. All right. So what happened was that we found out about that from somebody, and the guy who drives this truck and really is in charge of this truck, he made a phone call to Frank Silva, who was the CEO. Within a day, we get a phone call from him saying it's taken care of. I reached out, whoever he reached out to, mortgage is paid. He paid it immediately. One thing she doesn't, because he's a young guy, he probably had a big, large mortgage. Doesn't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
Things like that. So you got Home Depot, you got Carpet One that are corporate sponsors. This is how we make it. I believe we're up to close to 900,000 people who do this $11 a month.
That's pretty cool.
Just think about it. Every month. We're building between 200 and 250 houses in Florida in a community just for these guys.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So, and that's what this is all about. This is why we go around the country.
That's awesome.
That's my spiel.
Well, friends, thank you for watching, and remember, do what you can where you are with whatever you have. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And on behalf of myself and my bearded boondocking buddy named Daisy, hey, we'll see you next time.